Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial. Today I'm going to talk about how to design the positive shape and negative shape in different light direction. So I already prepared the light work in this video, and this is a flat color, well, with a white and black background. Okay, so let's start from the first one. In this tutorial, I will prepare to making 3 different light direction and talk about the positive shape and negative shape in brightness part and shadow part. Right, so I name this is A. Okay, let me duplicate again. So this is line work and silhouette. Okay, let's start from the first one. Okay, so this is silhouette. Let me open a silhouette and clipping mask. Now I prepare to paint a shadow. So only use the grayscale color, gray color, maybe 30. Okay, and you can change to the hot brush. This is hot brush. Right. So in the beginning, we need to set the light direction. So maybe the light is coming from a 45-degree angle. So before you start to detailing this character, you should understanding the form and the shape. So for example, we can simplify this character. And this is the head we can represent like a ball, right? And how about a rib cage? We can use box. And how about the vest? Still use a box, right? And pelvis is a box as well. And how about the leg? The leg, we can think is a two-cylinder, right? Just simplify, not too complex, because this is for us more easier to calculate the shadow. And here's another cylinder. Just try to keep simple. And how about the arm? Another hand, right? Two-cylinder and one box. And here is her right arm. So how about the hair? The hair, I always think about like a paper, right? We can think about like paper. Just keep in mind, try to simplify like a paper. And how about the skirt? We can think about it's a big paper, and we try to bend the paper as well, right? So just keep it simple, very simple. Right, oops. So this become a diagram, and we can use this to simulate or calculate the shadow. So the light, if the light is coming from a 45-degree angle, and where is the shadow? So the shadow, it should be on the opposite side, right? Something, maybe here. So you can always draw a small rough sketch before you go into the final one, right? Maybe it looks like this, and also the hair, just simple, give you an idea. Alright, so since we have this sample, then we can bring this to our character. And alright, so we can use a gray color and star to block in the shadow. Maybe too dark. Just blocking the color. So follow this rough sketch. So you always need to think about the form and how it looks like, the shadow, how it looks like. Also the head, we can think about like a bowl, right? So this is the core shadow. And this is the hair. Also the armor. And also the hair. And the shadow and the eye socket. Also nose and bottom of the lip. And cast the shadow from the accessory, right? And we can change the eraser to the hard brush as well. Right, so we follow this rough sketch. And the cast the shadow from the skirt. Right, so this is a rough idea for the shadow part, right? And let me turn on the black background. So it becomes very obviously, we can see the white and the dark. And there's an important thing to design the shadow. So some people always think about, this not looks real, right? This not looks realistic. If, for example, if this should be looks realistic, and this part should be illuminate, and also this part. Let me try to explain in another layers. I duplicate again. So if this is a 3D program from a 3D program, and everything should be illuminated by realistic, right? So people always think this is not real. It should be looks more realistic. And here, if I really calculate, here should be illuminate. It won't be dark, right? It will be illuminate, and every part will be illuminate. And we need to paint the brightness, the white color. So something like this. Maybe here will be illuminate as well. Here will be illuminate as well. and also the hair. So how it looks like compared to the original one. How do you feel? Is this one is feel more clean, right? And this one looks mass, right? Because they are two tiny things, it will make the graphic read very complex, and people feel, the audience always feel it is very mass. So this is an important concept to design the abstract. We can see this is a graphic design. We take off the line art. We turn off. What we will see is only the graphic, right? It's only a graphic. And which one is read more clean? This one looks much better than this, right? Because this one is too much little tiny thing. And people always, there are too many information, and people will feel confused and feel uncomfortable to read this graphic, right? And this looks much clean and more graphic feel. And also, there's another important thing to design the shape. For example, if we can see, let me show you. If we can see this is a big shape, the white part, I mean the brightness part, big, or we can say this is a big shape, right? Medium shape and small shape, right? And this is a big shape. About also include this, maybe a big shape, or we can say this big, medium, and small. And even this, we can say it's something like a big, medium, and small. And rather than this, if we see this, big, but this looks too random, right? This shape and this shape, and this shape, this shape, this shape looks too equal. We should avoid something looks even and equal, right? So always keep in mind big, medium, and small. Always make your painting, make your shape design looks more interesting, right? So this is a not good example. This is a bad example to design your abstract shape, your positive shape and negative shape, right? So we will use this to continue. So this is a very important concept when you design a negative shade and your shadow and your brightness area, right? So let me duplicate again. And now I prepare to modify the shape, right? So this part need to take times because clean up the edge will become very slow. It is very slowly. So we should be patient during this stage. And also the breast. So you always need to follow the form, right? You should be around and curvature. Also, maybe here. So this is a very dangerous part. You need to think about, should I draw this or not? But I suggestion not to draw into too much tiny thing in this stage. We only need to focus on this big shape, not going to too many detail, right? So this area, this arm, probably should be dark. And this armor, because of the shape, the reason it should be illuminate. It should be illuminate. Okay. And also the shoulder, to cast the shadow from the head. Alright, still fix the shape of the eye socket. Also the flower and the stamens, right? Also the flower. Not too many. And here should be dark, right? And where? So zoom out and check. So now I just fix the shape and try to follow the form. So this part is nothing to say. Just feel the color. Alright, so maybe this part be bright. Looks much better. So this part, I show you here, this part is very important. This is a hint for people to understanding, oh, this is the tip of the hair. If I draw it like this, it will disappear, right? So this is a positive shape and negative shape. The important thing to design your positive shape and negative shape. So use the silhouette to give people to understanding the form, the shape. Also continue. You see, I just try to simplify the shape. I won't draw any too tiny thing, right? I won't draw something too tiny. I ignore this tiny thing in this stage. I think it's not important. It will break my whole design, right? So sometimes you need to learn get up, right? Not hold everything you like, not hold everything you want. So just sometimes you need to learn let it go. Don't try to draw anything, you know. It's quite important. Alright, so continue clean up. still fix the shape, and also cast the shadow from the clothes, right? From the shoulder pad, and cast the shadow from the armor. Cast the shadow. Right, and move to the skirt. So here we'll have cast the shadow from the upper body. Maybe and the kneecap, also the boots. So still need to think about where it will be illuminate and where to be the shadow part. Also heel, right? And the skirt. So let's check. How about the shape? So turn off the light. You always need to check is that loose clean. So not too, I already demonstrate before, not too little tiny thing like this, or yeah, I wanted this light up, I wanted this be bright color, and here be illuminate. So don't try to doing this. Ignore. Just keep it simple. Simple is very important. Very important. Okay. So even this, you see, I try to design. This you can see a big shape, medium shape, and small shape, right? So it's quite important. So many people with no conscious, they always like to draw things like this, maybe this, too equal, right? And how about this? This three shape looks not interesting, and this looks more rhythm. Okay, they have a rhythm. All right. So next step, since we feel this positive shape and negative shape looks okay, and what is the next step? The next step is I'm going to build a form. So I will use, so here is a lot brush, and they're in the bottom. I use a soft round, right? And I build a volume from the brightness part first. So let me mark as a yellow color. And use the soft brush to build a volume. It's much quicker. And soft brush always has a nice gradient to build a form. Well, in this tutorial, I'm not going to demonstrate about color. We only focus on the light and the shadow, and how to design your light and the shadow. Or we can say how to design your positive shape and negative shape. It's quite an important thing in this tutorial. So I keep this part looks more sharper, looks sharp because this is a cast shadow. The cast shadow always be sharp, right? And the form shadow, core shadow always looks smooth, but it's still depending on your form, your shape. And this is the core shadow, right? So it will become smooth because the flower is not the hard surface, it's a smooth surface. So the core shadow always looks smooth. The core shadow. So in this stage, we can allow to paint some violet, add more value for your character in the brightness part. Or maybe you can lower the opacity of the night world. Maybe 40, right? And also the hair. So my tip of painting hair, I always think about the hair is like a paper. Also the accessory here should be dark because of the shape, the form. So this is something looks like an ambient occlusion technique. Very similar. It's a very quick way to build a form. If you don't like the shape, you can change to a soft brush. The eraser, change to a soft brush and then modify the shape you like. So here we'll have the ambient occlusion shadow. So let's move to the clothes. Well, this is an accessory, right? So just build a form. Now you can focus on tiny things. So first step, we are focused on big shape. And now when going deeper and build a form, we can now spend time to focus on small detail. It's allow you to focus on the tiny detail because in the beginning we already set up or design the big shape. So the fingers, and this is a core shadow, so it won't be looks too sharp, right? It should be smooth. Alright, so and also the breast, it should be smooth as well. And ambient gradient shadow. Okay, and still feel the form. Although this is a cast shadow from the head, but I still adding some smooth brush here because we all know the shadow from if the shadow is far from the object, it will become smooth, right? So it looks more fuzzy. So here it looks more fuzzy than here. I keep here. It's a very sharp. Right. So and smooth. Alright, so remember we only focus on brightness part, not going to the shadow part. We will paint a shadow in another layer. So now just focus on on, on brightness part. Maybe too much because we already have the light work. So there's no need to draw too much. I'm not going to draw too much detail in this tutorial because I think the most important thing in this tutorial is natural understanding how to design the the positive shape and negative shape, and natural understanding, natural know how important is in the beginning before you go into detail, right? This is the armor. Because we all know detail is not very important. The composition and the abstract design is important than all the details, right? Because composition determine your painting, your artwork is good or bad, not the detail. Right, so still we can think about the arm is like a cylinder, so this is the core shadow will become very smooth. And this part, I keep it very sharp because it's a cast shadow from the armor, right? Oops, sorry. So this is the core shadow. And this is the finger. It should be looks very smooth. Alright, so and here is some ornament. You can add in some tiny detail here. Okay, and let's move to the hair. Let's see the hair. Alright, so start from a big shape. It's a core shadow. I keep this area here. Let me demonstrate here. This area is a very sharp because this is a contour. Alright, so it should be looks very sharp. And remember, here is a contour. It should be sharp. And now, because we are building the form in this stage, so it's allowed me to add in some tiny detail. But still remember not break the whole value. For how to say break the whole value, if it's, you paint something like this, you already break the value, right? We need to keep the brightness when we see far away, it's still in the brightness, the shape is still be very clear. If you draw too much thing like this, it already break the shape. So don't do this. You should be careful when you're drawing the brightness part. It's a very important thing. So always try to keep the value. So I always draw just tiny thing. I won't draw too much. And draw the form for the ornament. Alright, so and here is a little Alright, so we zoom out and see how it looks like if we turn off, right? We build a phone, but we did not paint too much, but it looks not bad, right? It looks good. Alright, so continue build a skirt. Because this is the cast shadow from the skirt, from the upper body, so this area, I keep it sharp, but not too sharp, because it's still far away from the chest, from the object. Just a little, not too much. And this is a form. The core shadow, the form shadow, it should be smooth. So now, here has a two line, right? Two sharp line here. And you need to understanding where is the cast shadow and where is the core shadow, or we can say the form shadow, right? So in another word, you need to understanding where should be sharp and where should be soft. For example, here should be soft, right? Because this is a form shadow, this is a core shadow, and this is a cast shadow, so it should be sharp. Right? And also here, this is thigh, leg, and this part is very obviously here should be smooth, right? And here's a kneecap. Also here, because this is a contour, so it should be sharp, not too smooth, right? And here can be smooth. And this is a form. It can be smooth. Right, so give a gradient to the skirt. Or maybe you can add in some fold or some wrinkle if you like. So here is allowed to draw some detail. Right, so let me check how it looks like. So tiny hair, very tiny. Even though we close the line, we still can see it looks something like the statue, right? It already looks like a statue, right? And turn off. See? So let me explain. So you see, if I use this bad example, I mark as a red color. If we start from the positive shade and negative shade like this kind of design, so even though we added a detail, it looks not still bad, right? How about this shape? It looks much clean. So it's very important thing. The detail cannot help you to make a good art. Only the shape design, the graphic design can lead you to the good art, right? So we can see again, it's still looking very bad. So, and it looks really uncomfortable, you see, right? So now I prepare to move to the dark part, the shadow part. So I use the dark color. So in the shadow part, you don't need to necessarily paint too much. Just draw the ambient gradient shadow. I think it's enough. Don't try to draw too much. And still always keep in mind, control the value and don't break the value, right? So how to say to break the value? If you draw something like this, again, if you draw something like this, you add too much dark color, it breaks the whole value. So you need to draw very carefully, right? Very carefully. This is a value control. Value control is quite important thing. Just tiny, not too much, just tiny. Maybe I forgot, I get up this, ignore, just tiny. Don't draw too much. So you can think the detail is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous for your painting. We need a detail, but it's not the most important thing. Okay, detail is not very important thing. The most important thing, again, still is your composition and not detail. Right, so here's some ornament. Here I adding more darker value because I want to separate the hair and the background hair. Alright, so just adding tiny value, not too much. Still keep in mind, not drawing too much. Maybe you see, I'm not satisfied with this part. So maybe at this stage I still think about the shape, the abstract shape. So big, medium, and small, right? I still consider this. Okay, so continue to build a form. So we can more directly say you build a form and also consider the abstract shape at the same time, right? You build a form and also consider the abstract shape and the graphic design at the same time. not only build a phone, not only build a realistic phone. You should consider the abstract. And also focus on build a form. And so follow the ambient occlusion shadow. And here's some wrinkle, some fold. So I always start from the ambient occlusion shadow. And about the ornament, I always just try to draw some part. I won't draw like this kind of stroke. This is pretty bad. You should draw it like this and skip here and draw again. Alright? Alright, so here should be very dark because it's almost close to the leg. Also here. Alright, and also build a skirt because the shape is something like this. So when you're drawing the shape, you need to follow the form. I'm not drawing too very detailed. I think it's not necessary because it's not important. It's not a very important thing to draw super refined. Also build a leg. So the leg, we can think about it's like a cylinder, right? So use an airbrush to build it like a cylinder. It's quite important. Right, so here has some ambient occlusion shadow. Alright, so here's has some tiny ornament. So still remember not drawing too much. And also here. Right, I think it's enough. It's enough. Don't need to draw too much because it was in the shadow part. So don't draw too much. Otherwise, you will distract the focal point. So just refine. So smooth brush is a very useful brush to build a form. Right, so let's check. Let's check. Mark as a blue color. Let's start from the beginning. Only line and flat color again, and design your positive shade and negative shade, or we can say design your brightness part and shadow part. Again, build a form. Very simple, very simple. And also build a form in the dark. And now, even we turn off the line art. You see, we turn off the line art. The form still looks pretty good, right? It's very simple. Only use three layers, right? Very simple. So now maybe 50. Okay. And now here's a very important thing to give a gradient color. Maybe use the multiply. So give a nice gradient to simulate like a light decay, right? And also in the final stage, I will add a ring light. So let me consider where is the ring light coming from. Maybe the ring light coming from here, coming from the back. So it's very easy. Just use an airbrush and use a linear dodge. This is in order to let your character stand out from the background. maybe here, maybe not here. So be careful, these two parts, those two similar, so I decide to make this part much bigger than this part, right? Still, again, still is the shape. Just tiny, not too much. Always need to be careful when you draw every stroke. You really need to understanding why you draw this stroke. It's quite important thing, quite important. I think this is pretty bad, so ignore this. Even though in a realistic world, here will be illuminate, but I decide to ignore this, right? It's very tiny. Here should be illuminate. It's very obviously should be illuminate. Also here, also here. Anything else? The boots. Also the boots. So it's not too complex, right? The most important thing is design the shape. Maybe a little. So, anything else? Okay, so we almost finished the first one, and maybe there's another layer, and just give a color tone, right? But not too much, just small, just tiny, very tiny. So you can change the color. So this properly she is at a night scene, in a night scene. So it tend to blue color, the cold temperature. Alright. Okay, and this will be the first one. So let's prepare, move to second, right? So name it duplicate and then B, right? So close, delete, some unused there. This is a ring light, basic color tone. No, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. Also this. Okay, so let's start from the second. So the second one, okay, let me erase. Oh, how about I direct? The second one maybe from the bottom of the right. So see how it looks like. Again, so before we start, we need to draw in a rough sketch, a tiny thumbnail. Okay, so use the red color. If the light is coming from here, and where will be the shadow? Here, right? All this part will be in shadow. It should be something like this. Right, and also the leg. And the belly will be illuminate, right? So it's very important to understanding the form. Once you understanding the form, it can help you to more easier to calculate the where is the light and where is the shadow. Okay, so now we change to the hard brush and use a gray color to dark. Okay, so try to follow this diagram to design your shadow. So you need to consider where it should be illuminate. So it's not usually to draw the bottom light, right? So many people feel it's very hard to draw the bottom light. But the concept is very easy if you understanding the form and the shape. It's quite easy. There is not too difficult to drawing this kind of lighting. Right? So still use the hard brush. So it's very simple. I only use a soft brush and hard brush in this tutorial. Not anything fancy brush. So the brush is not too important. Okay, so here we'll have a cast shadow, right, from the armor, the shoulder pad. So it's very important. And here will be dark, right? And cast the shadow here. So I think I will draw much quicker in the second one here. Because the main concept I already explained in the first one. So here just show you the same process and apply to different light direction. Okay? So because it's from the bottom, so it looks like it's totally invert, right? And it's very important to design the positive shape and negative shape. So let me check. So you see now I focus on the shape because I focus on these three, right? I draw this three. No, sorry, wrong layer. This three. I still think about big, medium, big, big, medium, and small, right? And big, medium, and small. Big, medium, and small. Okay. This is a super important. Super important. Still try to simplify, not too complex, and not too tiny detail shape, not too tiny. Or we can say not too many tiny detail shape. Always focus on big shape. So maybe like this. And here it should be illuminate, right? So check the shape design. So here I ignore too many things, right? So for the real, if in the real world, there will be illuminated by this, right? But I ignore because I want the graphic read be very clear. And I change my mind again. I still try to test the shape, try to design a shape, and try to find the best solution. Alright, so I think it's probably okay to check the shape. So now I continue to detail the shape. So So we back to the labor job, right? I call this is no brain job. Don't cost any your brain memories, right? So usually at this stage, I listen music and even though watch TV at this stage because it's not to burn your brain CPU, right? So you can doing anything. Well, this is a cast the shadow from the shoulder pad, right? The shoulder pad here. So just modify the shape. I try my best to draw as quick as I can because this part is quite boring and nothing to say. Sorry for that. So this is very important. Again, it's a hint of to let people to understand. Oh, this may be a fur or a hair by the positive shape and negative shape design, right? By the silhouette. So it's quite important. So try to clean as you can. Maybe here will be illuminate. Because this armor casts the shadow on the upper arm. And here will all be in the dark, right? Oops. Okay, so here well should be dark because the upper body, and also the leg. Maybe we'll cast the shadow on the arm, and let me check here. Will be the cast the shadow, right? Because for the real here will be illuminate, but I think this is too tiny, too detailed. I'm not going to draw too detailed in this stage, so I decide to ignore, right? I only focus on big shape, always remember, always start from the big shape. Don't care too many detail in the beginning, okay? Maybe I want it like this. Okay. So remember the lighting is from the bottom, so the cast shadow, the direction will become like this. And here will be maybe be dark. Yeah. Okay. And you may think, so here there's some ornament, right? Impose some ornament here. So many people will start to adding some shadow here. But I think this is too tiny and it break the whole graphic design. So I still keep it empty, okay? Alright, so now we can turn off the line art, you see, if that's okay. So let's not look too bad. So modify the shape. They are too tiny, ignore. Don't care about too tiny thing. Right? So once you're satisfied with this, now you can move to next part is try to, again, it's same process to build a form in the bright part. So again, use the smooth brush. Where is the smooth brush? Yes, it's here. So it's quite simple, right? Quite easy to build a form, not too hard, and just understanding where it should be smooth and where it should be sharp, where it should be hard. So for example, this is a cast shadow from the boots, right? So here should be sharp. It's very obviously. And why here? Why this line? This? Well, becomes sharp because this is a contour. It should be sharp, right? The reason being is a contour. Okay, and continue to build a form. So now I just focus on big shape. Again, still just focus on big. I'm not start to draw into detail, but I will doing this later. Okay, just focus on big. And this stage only focus on where it should be soft, where it should be hard. Also the breast, right? It should be absolutely, it should be soft. And also the arm. Okay. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. It's okay. It's okay. Now use eraser. I also need to change the eraser to the soft brush. Again, this is a form shadow, so it should be smooth. Again, this is a cast shadow, right? So it should be sharp, should be hard, and only here will become the form shadow. So sometimes the form shadow, the core shadow, and the cast shadow is at the same time. Sometimes, but not usually. It's sometimes. Alright. Continue to build a form. Try to find where is the core shadow, where is the cast shadow. It's quite important in this tutorial. So this is the form shadow, right? Here is the form shadow. Because the face is a more anime look, so I'm not drawing too realistic. in this tutorial. Well, actually my style is not going to very realistic. How to say? Maybe my style is semi realistic. It's combining anime and realistic. I always use the anime face, but the lighting and the texture is more realistic. Yeah, I think it's popular right now, and many artists use this way, use this style, and any style are good, very good. So there's nothing. So there's no. We can say, oh, realistic is best or anime is best. No, we can say that. We cannot say that. Any style is, they are all good. Well, just a personal preference, I think. Okay, so the cat's shadow will be a little fuzzy because it's a far away. You see, it's a far away. It's already far away with a distance, so it should not be really sharp, right? Right. So now it's allow you to build a little volume. Okay, and cast the shadow from the accessory, and also you can draw in some tiny detail in this stage, allow you to draw some tiny detail, but still remember not too much. Still try to keep it simple as you can. Alright. So continue move to the shoulder pad. Not too much, because we already has a light work, and always the light work always provide a lot of information, so you don't need to pen too much. But if you always, but if your style is always no need to the light work, you probably need to draw many information when you're doing painting. But with the light work, we don't need to draw too much, because light work already very detailed. It already show a lot of information, right? So remember, the shadow is always on the top, because the light is in the bottom. Okay, it is quite important thing, super important. Okay, looks not bad. So you see, we don't need to draw too many things, right? We only draw a few things, but it looks good. So this is around, maybe from here. But still remember the light is coming from the bottom. So now move to some tiny and little ornament, some pattern on the boots. So just keep in mind that you don't need to draw too much, right? Just give a hint, already enough. Just give a hint. So I paint as quickly as I can because it's the same concept from the previous one. Well, too much. Okay, and now it allows you to join some tiny shadow here, right? But not too much. Still, so now to see, I think it's still drawing too much. Clean up. I'm just afraid to break the whole value, you know. If I join this too dark, it already break the whole value. It looks very uncomfortable and it too stand out from this white value, right? It break the white value. So we need to hold. So let's say hold your fire. Okay, so let's move to the shadow area. So shadow area need to draw in much more, right? Okay, I can draw as quick as I can. Just only give the vowel. Only give the vowel. Beautiful. Again. And some part is very similar, like a previous one. You can draw like this and use eraser to fix the shape. If sometimes you feel only use a pen to very hard to to draw the shape or to paint the shape you like. Sometimes you can combine with the eraser. It's much easier to achieve the shape you like. Okay, so here is the pattern and the curves. So always start from the ambient occlusion shadow. Always remember, start from the ambient occlusion. Okay. So here will be a ambient occlusion shadow because her arm is very close to the chest and the breast. Actually, sometimes if even you don't need to draw the dark part, you feel it still looks finished, right? Even though, so this is just plus, okay? Drawing the dark part, the dark shadow is only plus. So again, the most important thing still is your abstract shape design, your composition. That's quite important. So you see, I'm not drawing too much in the shadow, right? I'm not adding too much detail. I'm always focused on only the ambient occlusion shadow. So something like this, and something like this, right? Only ambient occlusion shadow. Also here, here, not too much. Maybe lower the opacity a little bit. Oops, in the wrong layer. Okay, and continue. Build a form in the shadow. Oh, sorry, sometimes I focus on build a phone while forgot to say and to talk. Sorry for that. And actually, it's quite hard to say something and only build a phone or only in rendering. Well, I try my best. Sorry, guys. Okay. So he already not looks not bad, right? And here. So continue build a form. Okay. So still check the whole image again. So this is the abstract shape, the positive shape and negative shape, and build a volume in the brightness part and in the shadow part. So even though we close the line art, we turn off, the form is readable, right? It's very clear. So it's quite easy. Okay, and let's check with the A and the B. Two different light, right? Two different light. Okay, and I forgot to build to add the tiny detail in the hair, so maybe not too much, just tiny. And check where still need to be improved. Okay, so next part is to give the gradient color. Again, still use the multiply, and this time is from top to the bottom. Okay, because the light source is in the bottom. So probably like this. And also I want to give a rain light. So maybe this time we can use the, how about pink color? Let's see, how about pink color? Or red color? Or maybe orange. Oh, alright, orange. Let's use the orange. No, not here. just a ring light. I don't want it too much. Also the hair. Okay, and shoulder will be illuminated as well, and also the hand. Maybe not, because I feel there are too many tiny things, too many. So I decide to get up some tiny thing. And also the skirt. Also here. And also the leg as well. And the stamen. Also the face and the nose, and the nose, not noise, and then the nose. Sorry. Okay. So this probably will be a second. So the first and second, right? And I forgot to give a color. Maybe we change to the brown color. The brown color looks good. Okay, so let's prepare to the last one. The last one will be C. Okay, and delete, 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 delete. Okay, so the last one I prepared to show you, the light is from the top. The light is from the top. So okay, so we should draw in the rough thumbnail. How about the light? If the light is coming from the top, where is the shadow part? The shadow will be like this, right? And the skirt. So now we can understanding where we need to put the shadow part. Okay, so let's start from our sketch. So use the hard brush and start to blocking the color, right? Start to blocking the color. Let me check. Okay, because I need to check the color, maybe more brighter. So you change to the hard brush and the skirt. So this time I will draw very quick. Again, the main concept already demonstrate very detailed in the first one. So just to show you any type of a light direction and just show you how I design the shape of the shadow. Again, so we can think here this is a silhouette, this is a cylinder, where there's the cast shadow. So if the light is coming from the direct top and almost to the face while in the shadow, right? Okay, so this time I directly clean the shape in this layer. So always remember to focus on the big shape. Always focus on the big shape. Try to ignore too tiny thing. Okay? Tiny thing is not important at all. Detail is not important at all. Don't be fascinated by the detail, okay? So this is the cast the shadow from the upper body. So maybe here I want it to look dark, and here will be illuminate, right? Again, so move to the hair, and maybe here I keep in the shadow and make the hair here will be in the shadow as well. Sorry. So clean up and fix the shape. And this is cast the shadow from the clothes. So here looks a little noise, right? So still try to keep it simple. Maybe just keep it simple. And the nose. and so this is a cast shadow. And cast a shadow from the stern stamen. Okay, let's check. So this part still looks a little noise, so I decide to make it look simple as I can. Okay, and now same process. So we do today we are doing the same process. Use the same process to pen 3 different light. So this is a yellow. I mark as a yellow color, and this is for drawing the bright part, right? Although this is a cast shadow, but I think because this is far away from the object, it will be looks a little fuzzy, and still again understanding what is the form shadow and what is the cast shadow, and you should understanding what's different between the cast shadow and the form shadow, right? So always remember, if you design a good positive shape and negative shape, actually you don't need to draw too much detail. Your painting, your art, your work still looks pretty good. But if you are not design a good positive shape and negative shape, even though you add in too much detail, it still cannot help you, alright? So just adding some tiny detail or texture. Maybe we can say this some kind of texture detail in the bright part, and also focus on the core shadow. It's quite important. And remember, the core shadow, even you adding the value in the white part, you cannot break the whole value, okay? Because I always, you may found I always repeat this concept because I think this is very important. should let you understand and hope you can remember. And the last part is you need to practice to understanding the theory. Well, only practice make you better. Watch video is not very helpful for you. You need to practice. Okay. You need to spend time, devote your time to practice and try to understanding other people's knowledge. Learn, and this is the only way to become better and better. I think almost all the professionals, they are spend a lot of time doing practice, and rather than work. But this is my personal opinion, because sometimes I found only work will not make you improve, and only you doing some experiment and only you doing the practice that will improve a lot, right? So many people, when they are graduate and they work in the industry, but if they are only work, they are still spend more time to practice or doing some experiment. They will stop at the level, and now we're not going too high. Well, maybe I'm not explained too well in English, but I hope you understanding. Maybe you can understanding what is the mean I try to explain, right? So the most important thing is you need to spend time, even though you are not student, you are professional, not professional, you are still in the career, you are in a work. You still spend time, try to spend time to practice, and try to spend time to doing some experiment. Actually, I working for many years, and I found doing some experiment and still continue practice is the only way to keep you to catch up that professional, that master artist, even catch up to young people, because nowadays because the information is and the internet, you can search some very good information on YouTube or any social media, and many young people, they are become very good in very young age, because the knowledge, because the internet is a good benefit for young people. So we need to keep practice, I think, to capture the master and also capture the young people. I think, well, this is the truth. So this is some word I talk to my student as well. Well, need to practice, and every day at least you need to spend 1 hour or 2 hours to practice at least. I mean at least. No matter you are a student or you are already at work, I recommend at least 1 hour or 2 hours in every day, after work or after school. Well, now I just try to smooth and build a form and smooth the core shadow. So remember, this is a contour. Contour will be very sharp, right? And actually this we already mentioned in, I think, in previous one. This is or we mentioned in the first one. Sorry, this is a core. This is a cast shadow, but it's far away from the body, so it will be looks a little fuzzy. Also, this is a cast shadow from the skirt. Core shadow always need to be smooth. Okay, and now it's allow you to bring some detail. Allow you to paint some detail. Okay. So this is the ambient occlusion shadow. So just tiny detail, not too much. I'm so afraid to break the whole value. You see here, too dark, right? This area, this too dark, right? When you zoom out, it seems too dark. So still keep the whole value. It's more important thing. Okay. So maybe it's time to move to the dark, the shadow part. Just still refine a little bit and we can prepare to move to the shadow part. Alright, so this is around. This is not necessary. Okay, so open a new layer and prepare to draw, to adding the violet in the shadow. So you see, I'm always not drawing too much in the face, especially sorry, especially this is anime style. Right? So you may found if the positive shade and negative shade design well, we don't need to draw too much detail, right? You see? So always keep in mind when you're drawing when you're adding the fountain in the shadow part, always start from the ambient occlusion shadow. So start from the darkest part and build a fountain. Give a nice gradient. Again, still adding more detail, but not too much. Just fix the shape. So here well has an ambient occlusion shadow, right? So just adding some tiny, give a hint. It's already enough. So don't pen too much. Tiny detail. Okay. So here has an ambient occlusion shadow. Here. Okay. Let me check. We still need to improve. Alright, it looks great. So now again, I prepare to keep the ring light. So if the key light is from the top and I want the ring light is from the bottom, or maybe we can say it's a bouncing light. Okay, so maybe we can use maybe we can use a different color. Let me check. A is use the blue color, B use a yellow color, and C I decide to use a pink color. Let's see how is the pink color. Okay, and let's see from the bottom. Maybe there's a lava under in the bottom. Okay. And bottom of the breast. And also the hair. Also the hair. Also the bottom of the nose. And bottom of the eye socket. Right? Here. Well, I found this looks a little scary. So let me check. Maybe here. Maybe not. Also the thigh. So you still need to check if there's too much tiny thing. We need to be very careful. Maybe we can ignore this and so always keep in mind you need to zoom out and see the whole entire image. It's quite important. right? It's quite important. Or maybe how about we change it to another color? Yellow, purple, blue. Red, maybe pink. And also I forgot to give a gradient color, and well, wrong. Something like this. And give the color. So change it to the color as well. Purple, blue, green. Lower the opacity. Maybe this. Not too much. Just a little, not too much. Okay. So let's turn off A, B, C. Alright. And now I found A could be, we can enhance the contrast a little bit. So let me use the brightness and the contrast a little bit. B, C. Alright. Which one you like? So about the C, I found it's a little too dark. So let me use brightness and color to bring more brightness and lower the contrast a little bit. A, B, C. Okay. So we probably finished this tutorial, and I hope you can understanding about how to design a positive shape and negative shape in different light direction. So if you have any question about this tutorial, please feel free to email me. And I really appreciate for your support. Thank you.